Hi, I'm Nicole Kemper. I'm a writer, actor, and filmmaker living in Atlanta, Georgia. This is 50 Foot Woman, and I've committed to shooting at least one roll of motion picture film per month. So I'm very excited to be gearing up to shoot a short film on Super 8 in about a month. We are getting very close, and right now I am in the pre-production phase. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about where I'm at with that, and also what makes shooting this short film on Super 8 different for me in terms of process as compared to many other short films that I have shot on digital. So the short film that I'm shooting is called Not Haunted. It's a comedy short. It's actually, I would call it a micro short. It's about 3 pages long. So that is going to translate to roughly about 2.5 to 3 minutes of screen time. So we'll just kind of see how that shakes out. I was looking to do something that would be fun to shoot on Super 8 and would be pretty simple, and also not incredibly long, because I'm still kind of in this phase of like experimenting with like what is possible to shoot on Super 8, especially in terms of sync sound. So I'm not going to get into all the particulars about why shooting sync sound on Super 8 is challenging. I have already made a video about that, so you can go back and check that out. But the short version is that those cameras were not really designed for shooting sync sound. So I did some tests to see if I could kind of shoot a scene with dialogue and then kind of manipulate the audio file in post to match it up and make it sync. And that experiment was successful. And so this is sort of phase 2. Let's shoot something fun. Let's shoot something funny. Let's get some actors involved and let's see how far we can push this thing. So as far as where I'm at in the process, we're in pre-production. I'm not going to get too deeply into what the pre-production process of shooting a short film looks like. I feel like there's plenty of videos about that already on YouTube. What I really wanted to talk about is for me, what is different about shooting a short film on film versus digital. So in the pre-production process, we're really preparing for the shoot. Regardless of whether I'm shooting on film or digital, I'm going to be setting meetings with people. I'm going to be having some kind of rehearsal. I'm going to be making a shot list and figuring out like what resources do we need, who's going to be on the team, and that sort of thing. And regardless of whether it's film or digital, I'm going to try to have a plan and to communicate what that plan is to the other folks that are working on the film, so that when we get on set, we can be really solid about what we're doing and we can be really efficient about our time, but that also there's a little bit of flexibility there in case some kind of like magic moment happens and we want to, adapt our plan just a bit to accommodate for some of those fun, spontaneous things that happen when you're on set. I think that I am a little probably going to be a little bit more stick to the plan regarding shooting this on film, because film is sort of a finite resource. And with digital, it's kind of like, oh, well, we'll just roll on this, or we'll just try a new take. Or I think you have to be a lot more sort of judicious about how much film you're burning, because you have a limited amount. And there's a cost associated with every frame that you're shooting. And so I think there might be a little bit less experimenting for me than usual, but I hope at one point to get to a place where I'm really comfortable shooting these shorts on film, and then maybe there's putting a little bit more room back in for experimentation. But in this case, I'm probably going to be trying to do as much experimenting in pre-production and rehearsal as I can, and doing a little bit more sticking to the plan on set. So one thing that I wanted to talk about that is really different for anybody who's been used to shooting on digital, who's transitioning to film, is to calculate your shooting ratio. And what is a shooting ratio? That simply means how much film are we going to buy, or how much film are we planning to shoot versus how long is the film. So if the script is 3 pages, we can assume that the film, that's like roughly 3 minutes of of action on screen. And we calculate that by saying, okay, a page is usually about a minute. Dialogue tends to go faster than action. There is quite a bit of dialogue in this script. In fact, I'd say it's mostly dialogue. So we can assume that about 3 minutes is a good gauge. What you get out of one cartridge of Super 8 film is about 2.5 minutes. So that's 50 feet of film, about 2.5 minutes shooting. Of course, you do lose a little bit at the top and the end as you're taking the cartridge in and out. But for the most part, 2.5 minutes is a pretty good gauge. So you could, of course, buy 1 or 2 cartridges, but then you wouldn't really have any room for doing multiple takes. You wouldn't really be able to change a lot of different angles because, of course, the script is 3 pages, but we're going to maybe want to shoot some of it in a 2-shot with 2 characters in the frame. Maybe we want to do some singles where it's a close-up of 1 character. Maybe we want to shoot a little bit of Abby, sort of some close-ups of her hands on the dresser, pulling drawers in and out and kind of testing things out. There's a couple of different shots that we're going to want to do. And so we're going to need a little bit more than that 3 minutes of screen time in order to capture all the footage that we want. So the higher your shooting ratio is, the more film you're going to need. I have decided to go with a roughly 3-to-1 shooting ratio, meaning that I have bought, and I've already purchased it and it's already here. I have already purchased about 3 times the amount of minutes that I would need to cover. So if 1 cartridge is about 2.5 minutes, I bought 5 cartridges, which is roughly, if you're thinking it's a little over, I would say maybe closer to like 11 minutes. But I was kind of thinking like, all right, well, if we're thinking about the top and tail of the cartridge and how we're going to lose a little bit, if we're thinking about the slate and how we're going to have to be slating, we're going to have to slate at the beginning and the end. So we're doing a slate at the front and we're doing a tail slate. And if you're wondering why are we doing a tail slate, again, just go back and look at that video and I'll explain how doing a tail slate was really part of the process of manipulating that audio file to get it to sync up. So with all that, I was like, okay, well, let's actually think about this like we're getting 2 minutes of actual scene out of a cartridge. So I kind of use that to think, okay, well, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, which is again a little bit more than a 3-to-1 ratio. So I guess I'm cheating a bit, but 3-to-1 was kind of my starting point. And so I was thinking, okay, 5 cartridges, it's going to be about 10 minutes of usable footage. And so that's what I went with. So I bought 5 cartridges for the shoot itself. And then I actually bought an additional cartridge for a camera test, which brings me to my next point about what is different about shooting this on film versus digital. So camera tests. Again, planning, really, really critical in any film that you're going to shoot. But I would say, especially when you're shooting on film, we have a finite resource. We can't just say, there's a mistake there, let's just roll another one, because we might not have enough footage for that. We have to be very careful and know exactly what we're trying to get and make sure that we kind of stick to the plan so that we don't run out of film. We also can't see what the film is going to look like until it comes back from the lab. So obviously we have to be measuring focal distance. We have to be checking exposure, even though those Super 8 cameras auto expose. The one that I'm going to be using, which is the Nikon R10, does allow for some manual exposure. So I am going to be doing a camera test with the actors this weekend. It's mainly just to test out exposure on their skin tones. I'm going to be using the stock 250D, which felt like it would be, get me a nice look, pretty flexible, but not too much grain. So the actors and I are going to be getting together this weekend. Of course, we're going to be outside, but I'll be testing out different exposure levels. But I really just wanted to try out this film stock with these actors and kind of get a sense of what we might be looking at. And so that I can make some decisions prior to getting to set. And doing a camera test is probably not something that I would have done ordinarily. In fact, I really haven't very much in the past. I think as far as camera tests go, I would probably, with digital, I would only do it if I was doing some kind of lighting that was really experimental, or if we were trying out some very specialty type lens. So there certainly are times where I would do a camera test with a digital camera, but for me, it was really crucial to do a camera test with the actors and the film stock beforehand in this situation. So as far as what crew will be working with me on this, I have kept it really small, but I learned a lot from that test that I did a while back with Aaron and Sam, where we were testing out whether we could do sync sound with Super 8. On that day, it was just an experiment, and I was just kind of running everything, including camera and sound myself. And it was very much an eye-opening experience as to like what is the bare bones of what we would need to really get some good results here. And so who I've got working with me on this shoot is I have an assistant camera person who is going to be helping me with measuring focal distance, slating, and just other general assistance with the camera. I've got a sound person who is going to be dealing with sound only. That is not something that I want to be trying to focus on while I'm also dealing with the camera. The sound person that's going to be working with us, I've worked with this person before. They're very trustworthy and experienced, and so I know that the sound is going to be in good hands. And then lastly, I've also got a production coordinator, so somebody to deal with logistics, to make sure that everybody's being taken care of, and so that I am not trying to wear too many hats of like, I'm running the camera, but I'm also directing, but I'm also like, making sure that people have that lunch is going to be here on time, and that people are being taken care of and know where they're supposed to go. Okay, so that's where I'm at in my pre-production process. I'm planning to do future videos following up with you on how other stages of the production process went. And so you'll be kind of learning with me along the way. If you enjoyed this video, I hope that you'll stick around and subscribe to the channel. This channel is Critical Crop Top Films, and all of the videos for 50 Foot Woman are in the 50 Foot Woman playlist. If you'd like a little bit more, I also have a blog on Substack where I share the 50 Foot Woman videos, but I also share a little bit more about my journey with still photography and photo walks and things like that. So if that sounds interesting to you, the link to my Substack is in the description of this video. Thanks for joining me on this journey. I am super excited to, this feels like a culmination of things. Like I've been shooting with all these different Super 8 cameras for, a year now, about a year. And now I feel like I'm really taking this in a new direction, sort of combining my experience working in film and working in the digital medium where I'm doing narrative work, and combining that with this love that I have of Super 8 and motion picture film. And we're kind of melding it together, and it feels exciting and also a little scary. So I'm looking forward to it, and also excited to share with you more about how this process goes. So get out there, calculate your shooting ratio first, and let's shoot more film, you guys.